everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Mojoverse podcast. I'm Mo.
And this is Joe.
And on this episode, we'll be going through some reviews on games, anime, and movies that we've recently taken in.
I'm going to start first with games that we've played. Bravely second, as promised, because I talked about the first Bravely Default game.
Yeah, that's the kind of continuity you get in the Mojoverse podcast.
So far, I'm at the start of Chapter 3, so I'm not very far in. I like this game a lot better than the first, for sure. I like how every chapter you get to see a little cinematic clip with the theme song. It's nice to see what your characters actually look like outside of chibi animation, so you actually get to see them in grown-up form. I'm happy that Tiz is back. I thought they were getting rid of him, so I'm really happy with this. And I love Idea. Not that disappointed that Agnes is not a playable character this time, but if I don't see Ring-a-Bell in this game soon, I'm going to freak out. I'm told he makes an appearance, but it's small, and if there's no Idea in Ring-a-Bell moment, I'm going to be very upset. I love how in this game they pronounce Idea's name differently, like Edia or something. It's not just me, right, that noticed that? I love the new jobs in this game, not disappointed in the cat one that I mentioned previously, which is what led me to buy this game in the first place. It is a little useless, though, unless you get the monsters moves first for it. So I think it's a little lazy of them to have half the jobs be the old ones and make you choose between two different ones for the side quests, and that's the only thing you can do for side quests is bring up old characters and old jobs. This is okay as long as they don't repeat the chapters again and again, like the last one. Again, I love that you can adjust the speed and the difficulty, and they added a new system where you can save different attack sets or just keep repeating your previous moves. So this makes it really easy and really fun for grinding because it's so much easier and you don't really have to pay attention as much. You can just keep it on repeat. I think the new characters, Magnolia and you, are pretty cute together, but I hope it actually ends up going somewhere. And I'm pretty sure I just figured out who the main villain is because you brought up a random childhood story in the past that didn't really fit in, but now I could see where it's going. Not sure what's with the evil fairy, though.
Well, let's just hope that they don't make it like, Lost or something where they just keep piling on stuff. Let's hope it pays off at some point.
Yeah, the story is a bit all over the place and random right now, but hopefully they're going somewhere with it.
But you said you're at Chapter 3, so it's pretty much first impression time. And are you enjoying that a little bit more than the first one?
Yeah, and Chapter 3 is actually pretty much 30 hours in as well. So it still takes a while to get there.
So you've had time for second and maybe third impressions. It's good, good. All right.
Next one I'm going to talk about is Style Savvy Fashion Forward. That's also for the 3DS, and it's a new game that came out. It is a sequel, but you don't need to play the previous games.
And apparently there's a free playable demo of this game on the Nintendo eShop too, so we do recommend checking it out.
Yes, a very underrated little gem that I found by accident, and I'm so happy that I did, because this game was definitely made for me. The main premise is that you own a fashion apparel store and you purchase goods so that you can sell them to the people of the city. So far you could only do it for women of the city, but once you beat the game you can actually dress up the men as well. Many of them ask for single items at first, like a pair of earrings or a pair of shoes, but later on they let you choose their entire outfit as long as it fits their styles. Like some of the styles include gothic, baby doll, rock, feminine, preppy, bold, etc. You can do clothes, but you can also do accessories, so you can accessorize them with hats, necklaces, sunglasses, and a lot more. And
you said also that they've introduced like fall clothes and stuff now, so they seem to be going pretty relevant with the type of clothes that they have.
Yeah, it's now that it's getting a little colder out, it is real time, so you can actually buy warmer jackets, you can buy leg warmers, you can buy hoodies, things like that, as opposed to when I was playing in the summer, It's mostly tank tops and loose-fitting clothing. So I found that was pretty fun.
And that proves that they're still thinking about the fashion. Even though they've released the game already, you can do with the updates and they can have all kinds of new clothing, right?
Yeah, it never gets boring. And even all the stores, once you've opened and unlocked all of them, they actually rotate their stock in store every day in real time. So at midnight, they get new stock all the time. So I'm always checking the next day to see what they have.
Cool.
You can also set the theme to your store. So if this is for your own store, you can dress up the mannequin, you can do the display window, you could change the song playing in your store. And as if that wasn't enough, you can even do people's hair. So there's a hair salon, you can do their makeup at the beauticians, and this can also lead to events. So you can travel with the characters to different locations once you've dressed them all up. You can also take pictures of them with you in the picture, and later on, once you have them dressed up, you can take modeling jobs at the photo studio that have specific themes and backgrounds, and you actually make some money, in-game money from doing that. So that's actually really fun too. The pictures you take around the city too can be brought to someone so that they find the colors in there, and you can use it as your palette for hair color choices and anything else you might need colors for. It's cute when you do one and you can see the poster that you choose on billboards all around the town. You can also find around town certain tokens that you can bring to the beauticians and make makeup kits with them, which also lets you have a palette for makeup kits that people can just purchase outright instead of having to figure out one at a time for individuals all the time.
Yeah, that seems cool. They let you expand the game. You can really get whatever out of the game that you want. You can play it just straight up, or you can, do that like the color palette and the makeup and stuff. You can really expand on it yourself.
Yeah, there's always something to do in this game. Even near the end of the game, you can also get your own designer studio where you can take on certain jobs that people suggest around town and design your own clothes.
Nice.
The point of the game, though, to beat the game, you have to please people with choices that you made. So whether it was at the beauticians or your own store with clothes, if they're happy with you, they'll buy tickets for your fashion show. So you can dress up yourself and a couple other people who want to be part of your show and score points at the end of it. So there's also an amiibo function in this game, and you can get extra apparel related to Nintendo in this game. So you have to use all the female amiibos. Like, for example, if you have any type of Yoshi, like Yarn Yoshi, you can actually get a Yoshi hoodie. If you have
Peach.
Princess Peach, yeah, you can get her crown. If you have Zelda, you get a tiara.
Nice.
Yeah, so I never bore of this game. I can play it, and it's very relaxing. It's very fun.
Nice, that's great. So I've been playing a little bit of Star Trek Online. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I've never been a huge fan of Star Trek. It's not that I don't like it, but I was never exposed to it as a kid. Getting into it a little bit more in the past little bit, I really like it. So I decided to download the free online game. I usually don't play online games, but I figured I'd give it a try. I'm not too far into it, but first impressions, I really like it. The story really hasn't hit, but I like the introduction so far. I really like the space handling. You can actually drive your ship, which I called Serenity, of course. You can drive the ship around space. So it's not automatic, so you actually have to drive it around. It's pretty cool. One issue, the camera for some reason zooms out. I couldn't see the ship, so that was a bit of a problem. But I have to say, all in all, so far, first impressions, it's a really fun game.
All right, so that's it that we have for gaming so far. You need to give us a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
Now for anime reviews. One that we both really enjoyed was Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh, yeah.
Someone told us about this, one of our customers, so we looked it up. It is a Netflix original for the English dub. We finished season 1. We're so glad that we kept watching. We almost didn't, because the different art styles a little bit weird. It didn't look like anime at first, but if you can get past that, you'll be happy that you did.
It did have a cartoony sense to it, not really anime. And there were some, with that though, there were some pretty dynamic shots and maybe even a little bit of CG in there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So hopefully season 2 is coming out soon because I can't wait. So the show, just to give you an idea, is about a group of knights, so 7 members, like the title. They were wrongly accused of overthrowing the kingdom and murdering the king, so they all disbanded and went into hiding. Several years later, there's a kidnapping of the king and his 3 daughters, one of which escapes. She starts to look for the 7 deadly sin members to help her out with the real traitors and save her kingdom. She meets up with one of them at the very beginning. His name's Melodius, and he's the sin of wrath. And there's a bit of a romantic relationship there. Oh, yes. He also has a sidekick talking pig, and he's awesome and hilarious, and he mumbles when he runs.
That's awesome. I really did like it, too. I also like how they address some pretty strong issues, but they kept it pretty light. It's not as dark as it could be, but I don't think I would have liked it as much if they would have done it that dark, because of the art style, because of like even the acting. It's very light and happy, so they can't go really dark like Attack on Titan, but they address some really heavy and deep issues.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious action, but it's because they add the comedy in it too.
Yeah. So I was actually recommended by another customer who is also a musician. So I thought it would be good to check out Your Lie in April. It's not a great romance, so we'll get that out of the way right away. But it is a nice depiction of an inspiration-type relationship. For those who don't know the plot, the main character is a pianist whose mom had recently passed away. This isn't spoilers because it's in the first episode. He meets this girl who has a love of life and music, and it inspires him to pursue music again. It's a bit of a bumpy road, but the whole anime is about the progression together. I think it's really good, but it does slow down a little bit later in the season. We haven't finished it yet, but it's gotten...
I can see it heading in a really bad direction.
Well, for sure. And spoilers, obviously, we're going to say that right at the top, but it really does die down. They seem to lose momentum halfway through the season, and it gets a little
boring and a little repetitive. And it's like you want him... You can understand that he can't get over his problems right away, but maybe this is a perfect time to insert a time jump or something, because I can't just see it go on. It's too depressing.
Yeah. But the music's great. Being a classical musician too, I really like it. A lot of the pieces that they were playing I actually know, and the animation on the performances are really good too.
All right. Last one that I saw recently was Wolf Girl and Black Prince, because this is me looking for more romances again. This one I watched alone. It was suggested to me. I watched the first season, which is only 12 episodes, and since it finished in 2014, I'm a little worried that there won't be a season 2, so I'm currently reading the manga. It started off really hilarious and adorable, as the main character, Erica, is trying to make new friends and find people that she can relate to, but she finds that a lot of the girls are talking about their boyfriends and how hot they are, and she really wants to fit in, so she lies and says she has one too.
As you do.
Yeah. So they start asking more questions, obviously, because they don't believe her. So they ask for a picture, and she shows them one that she took off of her cell phone of a random guy that she saw on the street, not knowing that he actually attends their high school and is in the same grade as them. So she doesn't want her secret to get out now that she's so deep into her secret. So she explains that guy the situation. His name's Kyoya, and he agrees to be her fake boyfriend if she becomes his slave and does everything he says. So she finds out that, he's not the perfect Prince Charming in front of everybody. He's actually cold, cynical. But of course, they end up falling for each other and go out for real.
Aww.
It gets a little old later on with the only challenges they face as a couple is there's a female love interest for the guy, and later there's a male interest for the girl, and they end up getting jealous of each other. And this is a very overused plot device in anime that I can't stand anymore because it gets tiring.
You have a bit of a thing for that love triangle thing. I remember you used to like that as a plot device, but I don't know, was it Twilight that kind of hit you off on not liking it anymore or something? Because you seem to not really...
No, love triangles are okay. It's when they just throw in a random character who also likes them, but we've already established that they're a strong couple anyway, so it kind of seems pointless.
Anime does do that. They just kind of introduce characters just out of nowhere, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so this might be a spoiler warning because with some of the manga that I read, they end up graduating high school, and she chooses to go to school out of town and do a long distance relationship with him, which never really works out. So I don't know how that ends up going. I just have to finish reading that, but that was kind of already upsetting for me.
We took in Star Trek Beyond actually at IMAX, so that was pretty cool. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, we saw it. It was playing at Science North not that long ago, because we didn't get a chance to see it when it was in theaters.
But it's also, IMAX, so, why not?
It's really funny, great music, action scenes are awesome. It has a really good plot. I really enjoyed the other movies as well, so this one is also really good. It's not better or worse than the others. I would have liked to see more Zachary Quinto in this one, though, as Spock, but what can you do? Because we saw him a lot in the other one. So I'm in love with the bromance between Spock and Kirk.
I'm actually going to disagree a little bit. In this movie, I actually liked the bit of bromance they were alluding to with Spock and Bones. Apparently, Carl Urban was hesitant to come back because of the underuse of his character, so they decided to make him more prevalent. So that they really played that up was the two of them. As for the story, I like this one. This was more like The Wrath of Khan than the actual Khan movie. It was about a guy who's abandoned and his trials and revenge and all that stuff.
Kind of cool that they brought up the old ship, though.
Yeah, no, that was neat. The story got a little weird at some points, but the CGI was amazing. The scope was, I'm going to say it again, I'm sorry, amazing. They have this colony on a space station, and it was gigantic. The model work they used on that, it was just huge. It was really cool. I have to say, all in all, it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it was really cute when you see the picture of the future with Spock as his future self, which is actually Leonard Nimoy cool. In the old cast of Star Trek. So that was
nice. And I've gone a little crush on George Takei, so it was neat to see him in a Star Trek movie again. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how they did that. All right, moving on to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. We saw that when it came out. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that this was a movie made by Tim Burton, so I don't know how advertised this movie actually was. The only thing I didn't like about the movie is that they stuff way too much information in it and don't develop the characters or plot enough, especially when it's all about the characters, like all the children. Eva Green, though, did an amazing job as Miss Peregrine, and I think she's the one that carried the whole movie because she was so good. The art and animation and action was beautiful to look at, and the monsters were actually really creepy. But the romance between the two young main characters came out of nowhere and had no substance, really.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this movie. I really like the animation. There was even a touch of stop motion for the technical viewers, as Tim Burton really does like that. The story felt a bit rushed. The beginning took a bit too long, so they had to get the rest of the story for the rest of the movie. They didn't really spend time on certain elements. Also the relationship was very much forced. We
didn't know much about the kids. It would have been nice to have a bit of a backstory or what's going on so that we can like them a little more.
Yeah, they usually I like stories that they kind of throw you in and you have to figure it out for yourself. But they did this because it's such a fantastic story. They needed to have a little bit of grounding, and they really didn't have that,
The story got a little bit hard to follow after a while with all the timey-wiminess in it.
Yeah, I do like timey-wimey in movies. But that one took a little bit of thinking to get. But yeah, for the relationship, it seems like they just went, yeah, them two, yeah, they like each other. I don't know how I like that. You said Ava Green was amazing. She really was. The rest of the actors were really good, but it got a bit much after a while. All in all, it was a fine movie. It won't crack my top 10, but it was a fine movie,
It's a good thing they inserted a little bit of action, and we got to see a bit of the kids, well, not really their powers, but what's peculiar about them, and there was some action and fighting.
The action was good. They had a really cool shot with the ship underwater, where she was like blowing the air in the water. That's so hard to animate with water and bubbles, but that was really well done. It seemed like, again, the powers just have no explanation behind them, so it was a bit of a weird shot, but the animation itself technically was really good.
Yeah, a little bit of an origin story. Normally I hate those, but that would have been good for this
I
one.
like exposition, but just not when it's forced into the dialogue. We can have the grandpa maybe elaborate on his stories a little bit more.
Maybe some flashbacks.
Or have a flashback of him telling him a story. They did a bit of that, but they didn't really go far enough. So, like I said, it was a good movie. I recommend you watching it. But it's just not, in my top 10. It's not the best movie ever, but it was fine. It was a good movie.
We just wanted to quickly mention, because now that it's the fall, there's a few TV shows that are playing again. So we're really into, this is not really sci-fi, but Blind Spot is really good. Designated Survivor is a new one with Kiefer Sutherland as the President of the United States.
I didn't know what to expect with that one, but it's pretty cool. There's
another terrorist show for him.
It's stupid terrorist shows. There's too many of them. But this one's done in a pretty unique way. And there's about 4 episodes now. It's interesting. We're gonna keep watching.
Yeah, Big Bang Theory started again. Although we're just finishing to finish it because it's really not funny anymore. They're really dragging it on. The jokes just are not funny, and there's just not much story to work with anymore.
Yeah, it also seems like the acting has gone pretty downhill. Since the beginning. I don't know what's...
A little forced.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the acting's still fine and just the dialogue's not that great anymore. Or both. Or the acting's not that good. Or I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it, but I just don't really like the show anymore.
Yeah. We're still watching Elementary because of John Noble, but that also is getting a little bit old. Bones is going to be starting again. We talked a little bit about that last time because it's on our top 10 list. Grey's Anatomy I'm watching, even though all the main characters are pretty much dead, so there's not that many to talk about now.
I'm going to say spoilers on that, but I think you're about 11 years in. I think it's okay at this point.
So there's that one. Supernatural's coming out in a couple of days, I think. I'm kind of looking forward to it again because they brought, spoiler alert, the mom back. So I want to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah,
I don't know who the bad guy's going to be, though, because they've done ghosts, then they've done demons, then they've done angels, then they've done...
Leviathans or something.
Yeah, and then we've done God, so...
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, it's, are we going to do, a Norse thing now? I don't know where they're going to go with it.
They did that, different gods from different religions.
Did, that's right, when we had Lucifer, and they had all the other gods, like Shiva and stuff like that. Yeah, so, what?
Yeah, not sure what they're going to do. Maybe it's just trying to figure out where they go from here. And wrap it up nicely. Hopefully they have a nice life together.
Yeah, well, let's hope they can wrap it up, because it is really hard to end a TV show, especially one that's been on for so long. So let's hope they can do that right, and, we'll wait and see.
And Doctor Who has a Christmas episode, so that's a little further from now. But apparently it has something to do with the superhero, which sounds a little ridiculous to me. But there's going to be a new companion.
Yes, that's right.
Which they've already talked about on social media everywhere.
Yeah. And Sherlock, they are shooting that now too. I think they finished shooting it, so we can expect a new episode soon-ish at some point-ish.
And I think they're getting to the end with that too. There won't be too many more episodes.
Yeah. As much as I'd like to keep going because there's so few episodes, but it seems like they're kind of wrapping up.
It gets hard to wait anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about all the time we have for the 5th episode of the Mojoverse podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and YouTube at Mojoverse Sudbury. You can get the podcast on iTunes, and now you can get it on Google Play Music. So if you have an Android phone, you can still listen to us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. My name is Mo.
And this is Joe.
And we'll talk to you next time on the Mojoverse podcast.